Hey, Revelations. I actually deleted you guys a while ago. I actually pushed close. So this is the tail end of that part two. So this is part 2B, Revelations of John. And so I'm going to go and run through interpreting John and figure it out. Now, Revelations. Revelations is very uniquely written. It's a prophetic book, and I'm going to pop up my Bible and give you a summary or an outline of it. So in the video that we just showed, that he had a dream and he felt like he went to heaven and explored heaven. And so as he showed up, he saw these things, and so you see these like analogies. So when you see the word like, it's he's trying to describe it. His feet were like bronze. So in your head, you're picturing feet that are bronze glowing in the furnace. His voice was like a sound of rushing waters. Well, imagine describing to a blind person the sound of a helicopter without saying helicopter. So you would probably say woo 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 woo. Well, you can't do woo 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 woo. You got to just say it in words. So what would you say the sound of a helicopter is like? And so that's kind of what he's doing here, and he's describing as best as he can. And so even though people freak out, they kind of think, well, I can't understand Revelations. Well, a lot of it you have to understand what the not technology, the scenery or the background of the context that was written in. And the outline of it is this: write therefore what you have seen. So part A, what have you seen? So describe what you have seen, what is now, and what will take place later. So currently, what's going on and what will happen. So here's the scene. Roman Empire is burning Christians left and right. Nero is in charge, and he is known to use Christians, bodies of Christians on a cross, as torches to light up the city. All right? Uh, this is not a good time to be a Christian, in a sense. But the gospel continued to expand. And so, knowing that, we must understand the context. And so, sometimes when he was writing it, so now I'm back to the letter. Who is he writing it to? We know it's a letter to the 7 churches in the province of Asia. And I shared with you a map of Asia last time, but let me go ahead and find a map, which I don't have. Oh, I do right here in our introductory slides. Let's go get a map. The churches of Asia, and as you look at it, it's going to be these cities, and it's a perfect mail route. It'll be this city. You can Google it. But he writes to Ephesus, the first church, and it goes around. So therefore, if you look at it in the Bible, the first church letter would be to Ephesus. Chapter 2, verse 1 is Ephesus. Chapter 2, verse 8 is Smyrna. And you'll see this pattern. Now, if you write it so blatantly that we hate King Nero and he's all this bad guy, and what do you think the mailman would do? I mean, don't you know when you email, hey, I'm going to blow up the tower, the 9/11 tower, whatever it is, it triggers flags, and the government will come and hunt you down, and you'll see a bunch of people at your door if you start doing enough threats. Well, the same thing as he writes his letter. So sometimes people think that Revelation was written in a code form. He wanted to get a message across, but there was not a code, but some allegory. An allegory is kind of a symbolic story. And so you'll talk about dragons and horns growing on horns and all this crazy stuff and 4 horsemen. Well, that's why it's been difficult for many scholars is the way they describe Revelations. One would be very literal. Hey, literally, it is that. And the other in saying, hey, John was writing to an audience that he had to write in a way that it couldn't freak people out. And so he wrote a story that was describing real life events happening now and going to happen, but he had to write in a way. So some people have interpreted the dragon as either Nero, the bad evil ruler, or the future bad evil ruler, Satan. Or could it be both? Sometimes prophecies in the Bible can be, it's an ongoing prophecy. It's happening now and it will complete in the end. Yeah, so there's different ways of looking at it, and I wanted you to know that. All right, that's how you would interpret it. There's 4 major ways of interpreting it. That's where you can read through it. There's called the preterist view, the spiritualism view, the futurist view, and the historicism view. I just basically summarized most of the views. Okay. I want you to know that there's the outline, the things must take place, the things that were and are will come, and there's a symbolism. Uh, there's a lot of Old Testament stuff, and so knowing that the pagan world didn't read the Old Testament, there's a lot of Old Testament imagery that comes out from it. I got this picture here to help you explain a little bit about what I'm trying to say. This is what the prophets, when they write, it's not they're not fortune tellers where they see these details, bang, 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 bang. And I was talking about how it's happening now and happening later. So in a roundabout way, there's this new earth, new Jerusalem that's way in the perfect, perfect future out there somewhere. And as they're looking through, their eyesight, as they see Jesus Christ the cross, they see there's some bad dude in the future. We know that there's this antichrist, and we know there's this new kingdom. So they see this horizon, but they don't see the details that are happening inside the valley. Details that are like, hey man, when was I born? When is it going to happen? So a prophecy is kind of a generalized. There are things that are coming, but then you can't exactly know all the details of everything that's going to happen. So as a prophet is writing, this is kind of what he saw. All right, I'm not going to jump into too much. I mean, this slide has a bunch of stuff that will overkill you. Let me just give you a quick outline of the gospel. See, here it is. I mean, not the gospel of Revelations, chapter 1. What have you seen? So these are current things that are happening, which are things which are currently. This is what he has seen is. I'm sorry, what the dream was. The seven churches was happening then and there. What's going to happen to them, and then the rest of the Revelation chapter 4 to 22 is things that are going to be taking place. And you're going to see a lot of tribulation trumpets and things like that. But as you read it, the key thing is that I already showed the video. Is that in the end there is this new creation and new earth. I want to get away from what's happening in the church. I really want to focus here is that the last story of the whole Bible. First story, creation. Second story is Israel and the seed going through Israel, and I'm reminding everybody. Third story is the story of Christ. The fourth story is the expansion of the church and what's happening in the church. And so Revelation has a little bit about that, but the end of it is new creation. If you look at Revelations 20 through 22, and you look at Genesis 1 through 3, I kind of want to sum up this whole class right here. That there are things that are kind of circling back. And if you look at it, I gave this little outline and it will help you out. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, chapter 1:1, Genesis. And in Revelations 21:1, I saw a new heaven and I saw a new earth. Wow, you start to see this and you're like, oh, that's kind of like coincidence. No. Genesis chapter 1, verse 5, the darkness he called night. And in a new heaven and new earth, there shall be no night. Verse 5:21. God made two great lights, the sun and moon, to rule the earth. The city in chapter 22, this new place, needs no sun nor moon. All right, you're starting to see this completion. You see, earth is incomplete. He had to create things to kind of make it run, and there was this thing like an imperfect vessel, I say, that's holding life. But this new earth, new heaven is perfect, and doesn't need these things to make it run. Satan is the deceiver in chapter 3. Satan disappears forever. There's curse, there's no curse. And so as you see in Revelations, I want you to know these wonderful things, a new creation that's happening and things that had to go through. And so the key chapters are chapter 19 and 22. There's a newness that is coming out. And so I want to end our time knowing that I know I didn't go over all the prophecies. This just would take forever, and that's a class in itself. That Jesus came to establish the church, and through the church there will be life. But the church is working towards this newness of complete perfection, new heaven, new earth, perfected creation. We will get new bodies, new life, new everything. And it's through the Lamb, Jesus Christ, that will accomplish this. And so as the church is waiting, and there will be these different things that are going to happen, just know that in the end, all will be good. All will be good. Those who put their life in Jesus Christ. That ends our time in Revelations. And if I've made you more curious, you find me. If I have made you or said something that has inspired you, come find me. But I ask you now to do the work that you need to do, complete the semester as best you can. God bless, and I hope to see you very, very soon. If not now, at least we can see you in heaven. Love you guys. Thank you for listening. Bye bye.